Hello, Steve White 39. Well, rumors are persisting about the new He-Man series, and it's very disappointing. What we heard ages ago was that it was sort of leaked at one of the conventions that basically the series, even though it was Masters of the Universe, Masters of the Universe, not a He-Man series, was that Teela was going to be the center. She was going to be the focus. It was going to be about her journey to find the powers of Grayskull, or her history with her mother being the sorceress and all this. And it's all going to be about her becoming empowered and her finding the power of Grayskull. And apparently, what came out recently was that she is in fact going to He-Man is going to give his powers to her, and she's going to hold the sword and be basically She-Ra. So they're basically turning Teela into She-Ra and neutering He-Man and removing He-Man from his own series, his own universe. It's not enough that we have She-Ra and she has her own planet and her own villains and everything, and she has a second show. We have to, because... And it's kind of true, but He-Man is and has always been this icon of masculinity, and he is everything that everyone is against at the moment. He's white, essentially. He's actually, no, he's half human, because his mother was a white human from Earth, so he's part white man. So basically, essentially, because Eternians are basically white people, most of them. I think we saw black people on Eternia, didn't we? I'm sure we did. Yeah, I'm sure we did. But he's white, and King Randor was white, and Marlena was definitely white. So he's basically, even though he's got that fabulous tan, he's a white guy with blue eyes and blonde hair. He's uber masculine, although he's not toxic masculinity. He is compassionate, sensitive, fair. He's all the things we want to be showing in men or supporting in men. He's not a barbarian. He's not Conan the Barbarian. He may look like him, the Barbarian. He may look like him, and he may have been ripped off of him and based on him back in the day. They were going to do a Conan toy, and apparently a Wheel of Torture action figure didn't really go well with parents, so they just said first I think they were going to make it more cartoony, more kiddie, and then they just said we can't make him into a cartoon character, and they made up basically their own one based on him. I don't know if it was they just ripped him off, or I can't remember. There's a whole story about that now that I've forgotten. I was going to go into that, and now I'm realizing I don't know what I'm talking about, so I better shut the fuck up. Basically, he may look like Conan. He may be based on Conan and that level of masculinity on that level physically, but he wasn't. I mean, the Filmation studios were gay as fuck, and in a great way, and they created a really diverse environment, and the original cartoon was so diverse, and so it was wonderful growing up with that as an example. And we need that more than ever in He-Man now, and in cartoons we need that, not this politically flag-waving, bipartisan, representation for the sake of it to shove down people's throats. Actual real diversity, real people, real examples of how to live and how to be compassionate, how to treat people. This is what we need, and that's what the original cartoon was. What we don't need is some stupid ass, I don't even know what to call it. It'd be like Uber She-Ra. It'd be like a rip-off of She-Ra, where they're making Teela into She-Ra by having her take the sword, He-Man give her powers, like Thor is apparently giving his powers to the female for. There's just this whole push in Hollywood to destroy men, destroy the patriarchy, and I don't want to live in a matriarchy. I don't like the patriarchy either. I'm a gay man. I'm not accepted in the patriarchy. I'm not considered a man because I'm gay, so therefore I get discriminated in the same way that women do. That's basically what happens to gay people. We're basically less than women because apparently we had a choice to be a man, but we chose to lie down and be a woman or something. I don't know what the mentality of homophobic people is, but it's just a huge fucking mess, and I just can't believe they're going to neuter He-Man. Apparently the other series is not going to do it, And I'm thinking, well, maybe they're thinking, well, they've got two series, they can fuck one and, you know, do the other one just, you know, traditionally. So maybe that's the approach. But I'm very disappointed to hear that this is happening. At first, I thought they were just going to feature Teela perhaps equally as He-Man. It would be sort of him and her working together or something, or maybe part of it would be her finding this history, because obviously it's not He-Man's history. He knows his history, her history as a sorcerer's daughter and all that, and is its own thing. So it does deserve its own story arc and everything, and her own show, I guess. But I figured he would also, it'd be about their journey together, because apparently in the original He-Man thing, apparently, and I had heard this, but I didn't pay much attention. They were going to do a series after He-Man that showed Adam and Teela had a baby, and they then became the rulers of Eternia. So Teela was always important, and she deserves a certain amount, but she doesn't. We can't give her the whole show. It can't be all about her. She doesn't need to have the powers of Grayskull. He-Man can have them. She-Ra's got them. He-Man's got them. That was what worked about the 80s. We actually had representation then. I don't know what the hell happened. It's like it's all gone backwards. And it's worse than it was when I was growing up. And now we have all these people acting like they invented diversity and representation and they're saving us all, when they've actually put everything backwards by creating a problem for them to solve, to feel like they've done something, because apparently they can't create anything. It's just such a fucking mess. And I mean, I love He-Man. I grew up with He-Man. I have all the toys. I have all the original ones. I mean, I used to watch that with my parents, and they respected what the cartoons were saying. They understood. They saw the value in them, and they wanted me to see them. They appreciated. And watching them now as an adult, you understand that even more than when you were a kid. And the idea they're going to fuck with it now, it just really pisses me off. And I've heard some rumblings that Kevin Smith said, oh, no, we're not doing that, but he is. Of course he's going to say that. They say that right up until the moment, then they release it and say, ha, 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 we gotcha. So I can see it happening, but unless he gives definitive proof and examples of this is what the first story is, this is what the arc of the series is, this is what the theme of the series is, and can give actual examples to prove that he's not doing this, I'm not going to believe it for a second. Because if he's a social justice warrior, and I mean, as I said before, I'm a gay man, I'm for diversity, I'm for representation, I'm not for the patriarchy, I'm not for the matriarchy either. I've forgotten what the middle ground is, where people rule equally, and we basically have men and women equally in charge of the society. So, I've forgotten the name. It's something with a G on the end. Like matriarchy, patriarchy, something archy. God, I sound ignorant, but it's okay. No one watches to this point in the video anyway, I'm just talking to myself. But yeah, God, please let this not be true. Can we just have one He-Man series? The 2002 series was great. They strayed a bit too far from the original source. It was a reimagining. I want a continuation of the old series. Why the fuck not? It was cancelled back in the day because they were like, well, we've sold enough toys, we don't need the cartoon anymore. And the people who were funding it, that's all they cared about. The creators made a real show about real characters, which had real meaning, that had real meaning to real people and real kids, and had a huge following for decades and still has. But the moneymakers didn't care. Now that it's been around so long, people know its value. We want it to come back. We want more of it. And what I don't want, and I think a lot of fans don't want, is it to be, changed up for political reasons, for people who want to see men fail, destroyed, usurped by women, replaced by women, demeaned. I mean, I get that women have suffered under the patriarchy for decades. I get that. But reversing it back onto men doesn't solve any problems. It doesn't win you any allies, and just creates this shitstorm, and nobody's happy. So can we just not fuck He-Man? Please?